Andy, on the back of a 4-game unbeaten run, but a very different kind of challenge that's coming up this weekend from the ones that you've faced over the last few matches. What are you expecting from this game at the weekend, and how do you see it playing out?
An extremely difficult game. I think like every game we've played so far, and for the remaining fixtures, every game is really difficult. Every game has its own problems. Each team's got different strengths, but also each team's got different weaknesses as well. So we're obviously well aware of Carlisle. We're approaching it in exactly the same manner we have done in the previous 5 games we've played, recognising their qualities. I think that Paul's done an amazing job at Carlisle to get them promoted from League 2 via the playoffs, and yeah, that they will see the step up in levels like we found out last season as well. But they've been in every game, they've been competitive in every single game they've played so far. So yeah, it's a game we're looking forward to, but we're equally aware of the challenges it's going to bring.
What's it like for you, someone who's taking their first steps into management as a full-time role, up against someone who's got hundreds and hundreds of games, under their belt as a manager and has managed at all different levels as well? Do you enjoy that challenge coming up against someone who, without being disrespectful of you, has got way more experience than you have?
Yeah, I think, but there's a lot of our work is done before the game starts in terms of the preparation for the game. So yeah, listen, Simo's had a great career as a player, then as an assistant, and obviously now he's manager of Carlisle. He's worked all the way through the leagues at some massive football clubs. So yeah, massive respect for him and massive respect for his team.
Just looking at what you've been doing over those last 4 games as well, a lot of people seem to have picked up on the fact that you've used your subs at the right times, you've used players at certain times who can affect the game in the way that you want. How much work goes into that level of research to work out when teams may be vulnerable and what you can use from your own squad to hurt them at different times of games?
A lot of work. It's great to all the members of staff, whichever department that they're working in, that collectively we work together. We communicate really well on issues for our players, where our players are at from a load point of view, a minutes point of view. Have they recovered well? There's so many things going to making decisions regarding the team, looking at the opposition, their strengths and their weaknesses, and how we can try and certainly exploit their weaknesses. So when you're picking up results, I'm sure people are saying subs are being used at the right time. Maybe if results weren't going our way, it would be using the impact players at the wrong time. So yeah, we'll keep looking and keep analysing our future opponents and where our players are. It's obviously been a really hectic start to the season with 5 games in 15 days. So it's been a week this week where we've been able to do some work on the training pitch, which will hopefully help us for Saturday. Having looked back at the performance at Charlton, there was things that we weren't happy with collectively, and we need to improve.
Do you sometimes have to hold your nerve in those situations? Because it's easy, like when you're a goal down at half time, you might think, right, I might make 3 or 4 changes now to try and change things straight away. Do you have to, in some ways, be patient to know when the right player can affect the game at the right time?
Yeah, you're trying to use your judgment and your knowledge you've got of the opponent. And as I said to you guys after the game finished, that we looked at their team sheet and didn't think that certain players would last the game, and what one did last the game who we didn't think would. But yeah, we know that whoever is going to come off the bench and impact the game, they are full of energy, they are fit, they are fresh, they're frustrated they've not started the game, and they bring that onto the pitch as well.
James Wilson started that game as well, and irrespective of what happened in the summer, do you feel that he's now in the position now where he is capable of starting games for you regularly now? Because obviously his fitness over the last 18 months or so has been a bit of an issue, hasn't it?
Well, since the day that James came back into the building, he hasn't missed a training session. We obviously had to be careful with him in when we went to Spain, and we modified his load in certain training sessions. He went in the gym sometimes when the players are on the grass, but he's completed every session he's been asked to do. So he's now in a position where his fitness levels are good. He feels more robust in his body, both mentally and physically, and he's training at a really good level. And when you've got that, I think certainly from a forwards point of view, you then need to reward that. And so on the back of a heavy schedule, and him coming on previously to impact games, I thought he was ready to start a game. Delighted he got a goal. We spoke on the Friday then a pre-game that we were doing set plays on Friday, and we kept saying, "Oh, great ball, Chizzy, great ball, Granty," and we weren't going on the end of anything. And luckily, the work we've done pre-game about trying to look at their potential weaknesses and getting really good delivery from Chiz, which is what we got, and Willow's between the posts and he gets a touch and he gets us back into the game.
In recruiting Connor and Ethan, was that a conscious thing about their delivery from set pieces, but also, like Connor did for one of the goals, that ability to hit long passes through the centre of the pitch? Was that a conscious thing when you came to bring those two in?
Yeah, certainly for those two, in terms of their set play ability for the clubs that they've both been at. Both got different strengths for set plays. You can obviously seen already that Ethan can finish from outside the box. So yeah, it was a big part of looking at those two and what they could bring from dead ball situations. It's a massive part of the game, and we've spoke again in pre-season about if we can get a +5 goal difference from set plays, it gives us a chance of more success.
I'm going to labour the point with you now on signings because the window continues to rumble on. You're still looking to take it. Can you say anything about where you might be up to in terms of anybody maybe coming or going?
No, 10 days to go, I think, or is it 9, something like that. I think it's strange timing for the window to close on Friday night at 11 o'clock when there's a full fixture list the next day, and in terms of registering players, which is usually 12 o'clock on a Friday. So, no, still looking, still talking, still actively looking to improve the competition within the squad, to improve the numbers within the squad, and if the right player becomes available, I'm sure we'll be ready to act.
Do you think it might go all the way to deadline day? In an ideal world, I suppose you'd want to get it done before then, but have you got to accept that some of those deals may be very last minute?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, Phil would have come back for the first day of pre-season and all our players would have been here and would have been working from day dot with them. So it's not the case, it never is, and the window closes at 11 o'clock next Friday, and then we'll have the group we've got up until the January window. But yeah, delighted with the players we've got in the building, their effort, their application to every single training session, to grow on and off the pitch has been really good so far. And saying Carlisle are our next opponents, and we're treating this game exactly like we have done all the other ones so far.
Just a couple of things on the cup tie next week as well, which has obviously got fans interested because there's going to be a lot of Crewe fans coming from not very far down the road.
Yeah.
Might be an experience for your players, some of them the first time. How do you prepare them for a game like that where you've got a game plan, but obviously the crowd could well be an influence in that as well?
I've got to be honest, so we haven't even mentioned the word Crewe. It's not top of our priority at this moment in time. All we've been thinking about this week is Carlisle, and when the game finishes on Saturday, we'll then start thinking about Crewe. But yeah, it's a local game, local derby, big for the supporters. It's obviously got its reward for getting through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. So yeah, once this game is done and completed on Saturday, we'll then start thinking about Crewe.
Does it enter into it that you might have the favourites tag in it as well? Because a lot of people will go on paper, you're a League One team, they're a League Two team.
Again, not something I've thought about. We treat every single opponent with the same level of respect and do the same amount of work on every game we play. So yeah, that's what we'll do with Crewe.
Lee Bell has been their assistant and is now graduated up to being their full-time manager in similar ways to you. Do you feel that kind of is a route for a lot of managers now, taking that route, aren't they? They're an assistant for a little bit and then they move up to that full job. How, from your point of view, how difficult can that transition be, and what are the main challenges that both you and he, do you think, will be facing as you come into your first full season as managers?
I'm sure that the issues and the problems are maybe different at different clubs for different reasons. I'm lucky that I've been at this football club for a couple of years, know the ins and outs of the club and the people who work within it. Obviously work with some of the players over a period of time, know them. And me, I've just tried to be me, Phil. I've got to be honest, I haven't tried to change anything about what I've done. Try to work in exactly the same manner I was doing previously. The biggest difference is I now make the final decision on a number of things which I wasn't doing previously. But in terms of how I've tried to be around the football club, exactly the same. And listen, I don't know Lee, but I'm sure he's a really good coach. He'll have worked for this opportunity, and he'll want to be successful with Crewe.
Andy, just briefly, I mean, obviously the transfer window is coming, you've already alluded to it. Is the loan market the area that you would go down as against maybe trying to get permanent signings?
No, both markets are open to us, George. We're talking and looking. There's a number of things have to happen to get a player to sign a contract, and yeah, but both markets are open. And the one thing that we want to do is when the window closes next Friday is to be really competitive with the group we've got, and hopefully that will allow us to win more games then.
Touching forward, you say Carlisle, you already have great respect for the manager, of course, and not only the career he has as a player, but as a manager. Carlisle brings some momentum into the league this season because they had the same momentum as you when they got promotion. And they've had a decent start, haven't they? Maybe not quite the start that they would have wanted to replicate, but they won't be an easy task, will they?
No, so to say that there's no easy game in our league, that they've got momentum from last season. They obviously got promoted via the playoffs. They've played Wigan at home, who've obviously who've had a flying start and been competitive in that game. They've gone to Oxford and been really competitive in that game. So listen, it's going to be a tough game. They've got a few of our players who've represented us in the past, and so that obviously adds a little bit to it as well. But yeah, massive respect for Paul and for all his players.
But it's all about you, and you do have momentum as well, don't you? So you're taking it into this game, and you want to keep that going, don't you, really, to continue a run which you've experienced before. We've seen you experience that when you took over the role as manager before.
Yeah, I think when you get momentum, it's something you don't want to let go of loosely. We're on a 4-game unbeaten run, I think it is, but yeah, it's now about the next game, and can we display the same things we've tried to do in every single game, and that is to run, to sweat, to be competitive, and if we can do that and we can do the basics of the game, we've got a really good group of players, whether they're going to start or whether they're going to impact the game.
Finally from me, Andy, any major problems regarding injuries or anything of that nature?
No, same thing's still ongoing. Hopefully one or two now are getting closer to return. Tom Conlon's been out on the grass this week. Kofi is on the grass, so they're getting a little bit closer. As I say, when the window closes, hopefully we'll have everyone fit and available, and that will drive the level of competition Monday to Friday, and then usually you get better performances on a Saturday.